Even have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones and 'cause this is the Talk Beat Jones and see you then Saturday 1 2. 'Cause this is the Talk Beat Jones and all right, we're hot, and this is the Talk Beat Jones. And again, I am Dr. Talk this morning, this evening, whatever time you're able to watch and be with me. And yes, it's true. They said, Billy, some of us are seeing you on Facebook. Yes, it is. I have not yet uh, utilized my situation where I can be viewed live on my Facebook live feed, but that's coming up very, very soon so that you'll be able to follow the Talk Beat Jones man, um, Dr. Talk, throughout the week. But right about now, I'm trying to make sure that my person in Oakland, California, because it's, oh, let's see, it's 9 o'clock. Call me, it's that time. Thank you, bye. Um, it's at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I have to be the alarm clock for them. And speaking of the alarm clock, um, many of you, sometimes you wake up, you go to sleep, you've got problems. You need to have you some of the liquid biocell, oh, by the way, the liquid biocell Jasurul is now new and improved. It has all of these patents. Hold on, please, I'll get to you. It's new and it's improved so that you've been able to watch me hold up a bottle and tell you the bottle will last you 1 week. Well, now the Jasuru company, in their in which they always are looking to get greater, better, and being the leading component in terms of healthcare, is now going to green screen is now going to be able to put you into a position where the liquid biocell Jasuru is now in a concentrated form. That means that one bottle is now going to be able to last you for 2 weeks. How and why is that possible, Billy? Because the process of taking the cap and filling up the cap is no longer required. They've always had the system where there is a center. You will simply have to fill up the center, which is 1 ounce as opposed to 2 ounces, and you will be good to go. And so the bottle now, the new packaging will have it so that you can have a one bottle that will last you 2 weeks. It's concentrated. That's what it is. It's concentrated because I talked to you before about folks who have more money. What they would do is drink more of the Jasura than other folks. The minimum was the 2 ounces per day. I mean, 2 ounces twice a day. Now all you've got to do is take 1 ounce twice a day, and you're good to go. Plus, it's greater for your system. It infiltrates your system greater. So if you've been having your problems with it gives you greater support for your joint health, support of your skin health. Vitamin C is increased. Helps the body to metabolize fats and proteins in the development and maintenance of bones, cartilage, teeth and gums. Helps in connective tissue formulas. Helps in wound healing. Antioxidant for the maintenance of good health, so that if you had problems with your ankles, your feet, your knees, your back, your hips, you got high blood pressure, You've got a problem with your diabetic situation, trying to help control it and get it under order. This product, the liquid biocell Jasuru, like I mentioned, Mr. J.D. Hill will give it, has talked about, this is called the Jesus juice. And am my eyes seeing a green screen? Do I just keep on going, Miss Tyler? Green screen, is that okay? Huh? Okay. I just wanted, because I'm just looking, because we have all of this beautiful technology, and sometimes I come in and I'm not aware of what's really going on, except the company is always striving to get greater, better. So I'm going to do this. Oh, if you are watching and you are thinking about the fact that you need to get out and vote, I don't give a hoot about your candidate, be it the mayor's candidate, be it the city council candidate, or be it about the A or the B. I just want to let you understand that you need to come out and vote. I remember when President Obama, Mayor, coming to you shortly, when President Obama was running to become the president of the United States, black folks came out. They were lined up from around the corner to come out and make their decisions made, and he got elected. Now, I know people, oh, you know, he did all that special stuff and got a lot of white folks out. Yes, and true. However, black folks got out and they voted. So now, again, whomever you choose, let's make a difference. And one last thing about that is, I've heard this talked about, and the plantation station plays about this quote that a candidate talks about the motherland. Well, let me tell you real quickly about Billy Jones and my thought about the motherland. When I was in Oakland, California, where the Black Panthers was working for the community and working to try to take over, putting a black man or person in the office to represent the community, as well as the city council folks, I dreamt, or let me change that. I'm sorry, Mama. I dreamed of the motherland. I remember Rama of the Jungle. I remember Tarzan. I remember the Jungle Guy, in which they could beat almost 100, 200 black folks with a single white man. And I remember that as a businessman, as a person that was doing Jones Asides for almost 20-something plus years, I wanted to be with my people. And my people that I was dreaming of was in Detroit, where I knew when I walked down the streets, I was going to be surrounded by black folks. This to me was the motherland, the closest thing that I could get to the motherland. I'm not thinking about moving to Africa. I came to Detroit. So as I heard the title, The Motherland, just like we had Councilwoman Joanne Watson that was talking about having a district, a black district, and people kept talking about, well, we already got a black district because it's already black. But you got all of these other folks that got name titled a district. And I was bothered because I remembered in Oakland that the downtown Oakland, you know about the Chinese town or the Asian town, right?
Right.
And they've got miles and miles, and all of the businesses down there is Asian and Chinese, and the schools, etc., in which everything in downtown Oakland is by the Asian population. So I knew about these things as I was coming up, and I just wanted to be with my people. And I'm here. And I'm going to fight for the right, but I'll be darned if I'm going to be bamboozled by even black people that are putting out half truths, who really don't have the interest of the black people except wanting to make their interests greater, better. So that's why I tell my family I only go not to the left, not to the right. I don't care how popular you are. I don't care what title you may hold. I don't care what self-esteem the people who are people who feel that I need to complain. Yes, I want us to complain. I'm complaining. But if you're wrong, Dr. Talk is going to surgically cut it up, bring it to the attention of all folks. And before I let Mary come in, I want to give a shout out to the Candle Man that have come on the air, let people know how he stands with me. He's also let the folks know that there's been plenty people that have tried to get him to come off the I'm with Billy Jones bandwagon as such. He's my brother, and I love him, and I appreciate him, and he has his viewpoints, his perspective, but he's let everyone know where Billy Jones is going. He's down the middle, and for all of you back people, backbiters, and whatever, don't jump with Billy Jones, and that's why I will get with you. Mary?
Yes.
Talk to me, because you can see I'm a little bit on fire, because we have an election that will be coming up Tuesday, and everybody's doing all this mouthing, but I understand certain candidates did not receive no financial endorsements in terms of, we got people talk about black businessmen that got money. We got different groups that got money or say they can raise money, and the candidate and one of the candidates is still not receiving the money, saying, well, we don't need the money. All we got to do is get out and talk to the people. Well, they forget, Mary, remember Soul Beat, we had what is called the drums. The drums, folks. Y'all forget, black folks, that before we had, quote, a real media, we talked about how we communicated through the drums. And it took money to be able to talk so that we can understand exactly what you're talking about. And some of you folks are still using the drum technology, and all you're doing is talking that smoke, but you're not putting no money in the game, and you're still scared, except for when you're behind the telephone. Go ahead, Mary, before I get in trouble.
Oh, you're already in trouble.
I don't care.
Because for one thing, we're back on this daylight saving time here in Oakland, California.
Yes.
And the time went back. And I'm trying to catch up with everything, get the cobwebs out, so you know what's going on. I'd like to say good morning to Sean, and I can't wait till I just give my address out, because I want to taste Bon Appetit. And I like to say, support the young man. Do that.
He had surfing. He had surfing. On your behind. Mary,
and you don't support black people like you should.
Mary, he had surf and turf added to his menu this particular serving time, and that meant that he had steak and lobster.
Oh.
Good, huh? You know, as an addition to his other menu that he had, the ribs and the ribs and sauce, the dry ribs, and the chicken and the steak, and the surf and turf. I mean, it's like a wonderful menu this particular serving time. And I've found that we have seniors now, and I'm going to turn it back to you, but I just want to say this. And we have seniors now who are ordering by 5 and 6 meals at a time, because he gives the meals to the seniors at half price. And so what they're doing, you know, such as yourself, Mary, you'd be able to buy 5 or 6 meals, have a meal, put the other 5 in the freezer,
Hmm.
and eat every day a different meal if that's what you choose to do at a very low cost for someone that would have given you the meat of your choice and your sides of your vegetables. How about that?
It sounds wonderful. It really does. But to get back to the voting thing,
Mm-hmm.
I am for right. Now, you say you go down the middle, and I believe you do go down the middle. But there's right and there's wrong. And so I'm asking you black people to get out there and vote for what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And number one is justice. You know, you don't vote for the carpetbaggers. You have too much of that in Detroit, in California, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Vote for what is going to help you and your family. You know,
Yes.
get out there. Get those houses in Detroit,
Yes.
especially the ones got the tax liens on it. You can get some houses for maybe $4,000. Vote. Oh, yeah, I'm discouraged about the voting and some of these people
I
who
know
get
there's
in
no
there,
picture,
you know,
right?
they just take power and run with it.
Okay, I
And
got
they
it.
forget the
Thank you.
people
Bye-bye.
who
Mhm.
voted for them.
All right.
You have to stand up, get out there and vote. Pretend like Obama's still, running for president. And get out there and, worry about the schools.
Okay.
Worry about the businesses that's out there.
Yes.
Form your own businesses. Bring back Detroit back to life. Oakland is practically dead.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit's practically dead. But you can wake it up.
Yes.
Get on, get off your behinds and try it one more time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm discussing it with both parties. I'm going to tell you like it is.
Yes.
And I think that black people should form their own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people be against that, but I'm for real. Get out there and vote, whether it's raining, whether you have sunshine or snow, just like the the mail people. And don't forget about the post office, because you're going to sit there too long, and the disabled going to be the ones who's hurting, because they're going to have the mail people are going to disappear. The ones who deliver your mail, you're going to have to go down to the post office and pick up your mail. Remember what you have right now, okay? Don't forget that the good things you used to have. Don't forget about those typewriters. I told you about those typewriters. You're going to need them. And I'm not talking about the electric ones. I'm talking about the manual, okay?
The one that you went tap, 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 tap,
There
tap.
you go.
And the
You
one
don't
that
need them.
and the
But,
one that I
you know,
learned
the
was
power
says
grid is
now
old.
the one that said you learned the keyboard by typing out. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country.
There you go.
You
Now
learned.
you talking about the old country,
That's what I'm talking about.
motherland,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know.
Well, I really don't have no particular reason to go. I would like to visit Senegal, because that's when the ships with all the slaves left there and arrived in Africa.
mm-hmm,
That's the only one. But I'd say to the African people, what about you? You black Africans, the proud ones. You going down into the mines and getting all the diamonds and dying and whatever.
Yes.
But you don't get a chance to sell them. Those should be your diamonds.
Yeah, but you know what? When we talk about, and people talk about Africa and the African diaspora, etc., but when you get and pull back the onions, skin them back, from what I've noted is that the hierarchy in those African continents, the people who are high up, they live real good.
There you go.
They live real good. And then we talk about the poverty level with the people, and becomes questionable why and how is it that the rest of the world allow these people who are higher up to receive all this money that you say the United States, these other countries is sending to the African countries, but the money stops at the top. You know, I remember as a child that the United States used to talk about Patrice Lumbamba and how what a terrible leader he was. And I remember when they ousted him and how they hunted him and actually killed him and butchered him like a wild pig. And we've got the same particular situations going on. We wonder why we talk about ISIS here, but in the African continent, we have all of those groups that are invading different farms, towns, etc., going in, killing the men, taking the women, raping the women, impregnating the women, and etc. I mean, just like the ones that took those 300 black girls.
That's right.
You know, they've had reports about some of the girls come back, they're pregnant, which is what those folks wanted. And I told them they didn't want to. They did not want to try to make a situation where they could trade those girls back. They wanted to have those girls so that their troops could have sexual toys with the idea of getting those girls pregnant, sending some of them back and with babies so that that would be like them making a deposit into that town or that farm system
Right.
with their babies. And then you have, it was reported about some terrorist bombings in those countries that was set off by some of the girls that had been brainwashed and or told that if they didn't do these things that they were going to come back and take the rest of their families. And we still have many, 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 many hundreds of girls that are still missing.
That's right.
And and just think, now, did the United States intervene? Did the United States send troops over there to try to help not only that country or that part of the world, but other parts where black folks are involved? We get the reports, but we don't get the outrage as what happens in Paris or France or England. You see what I'm saying? Is it because they don't look like, when we look at, even I used to speak about President Obama and his cabinet when he would come out to have a meeting and have that long table with all of those decision makers and folks, and I would say, look, you may see one or two, maybe even three black folks at this table, but the other 20-something, 30-something, 40 is all white folks. Now you've got President Trump, number 45, and you look at his table, and they all are these white folks, unless Ben Carson sticks his head in there. You see what I'm saying? And then we talk about, and we talk about the power of black folks. Huh?
President Trump is in Asia now. I just wondered, is there any way that South Korea could keep him? Just keep him there.
Well,
He doesn't have to come back. You know, maybe he can join number 46. Because for one thing, I have never seen anything like this. In Colorado, white man just walks up and shoots 3 Latinos. I put that on Trump. The hate that's going on.
Wait, repeat what you just said. A white man just did what?
He went to Walmart in Colorado and just shot 3 Latinos because he hates Latinos. I'm putting the blood on Trump. Because, he's been thinking this way, they said, for about 2 or 3 years. They said he's been walking around like an angry man. And so I guess he got the courage, from this hateful president we got. So, like I said, I put the blood on Trump.
So now we have the process that they will attest this to the fact that, oh, he must have had some mental illness problems,
Mm,
but he was able to get and have a gun or guns, or he was a person that went on the social media and some terrorist groups was able to get into his mind. However, he is not targeting, he's targeting Latinos. You
that's
know,
it.
we come out with all these excuses and then we address it as mental illness. Well, we've had mental illness from way back. Like I said, some of
There
the
you
people
go.
said in the uh, 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 governmental officials have had mental issues because if they didn't have illnesses or a mental illness, they wouldn't have done some of the stupid things that they've done with the sexual affairs. Back in the day, before you could be a man with a man, some of the top-ranking a person was having a boy toy that he was paying for his home and everything, and some of the folks will remember who that is. Some of the women, you know, we got the school teachers that we all thought it would be male teachers, but we finding out now that it is a mass of female teachers that are having affairs with young boys, and the fact of the matter is these teachers are young, they're attractive, they're beautiful, they're married, and they are,
Something wrong at home.
huh? You say something wrong at home?
I just say I think there's a whole lot wrong at home in some of these marriages, and evidently the young men treat them right. They're more gentle, and
And they are in
I'm so
control.
confused right about now. But if you let me go back to the Bible
Uh-oh.
and the sex thing. From the beginning, I thought, I was raised in the church, and and, and they were talking about adultery, and most of the ministers would tell you about what happened to the woman. They were about to throw the stones at her, and I thought it was just women who couldn't, who couldn't do adultery. But then you find out later it was, both of us. It's men and women. You can't commit adultery. And that was the bottom line. But the ministers do not get really into the sex thing. And this started from long before Christ, that, men was enjoying boys, and boys were enjoying girls, and whatever. We have all this down in our DNA. You're talking about Kevin Spacey. The poor man, he don't know who he is or what he is. I'm going to say somebody molested Kevin Spacey. And he won't admit it. The first thing he hollers is, I'm gay. Then he hollers, I just don't know.
Well, he said he was drunk.
Yeah, that's an excuse.
Dustin Hoffman said he was drunk.
Everybody's drunk.
Everybody's drunk.
A
Everybody was.
lot of men rape a woman, which is old, way back when.
But-
That's the first thing they would say. Well,
But-
I was drunk.
But hold up,
That's
Mary.
why I raped
But
him.
Mary, here's gonna be the whopper. They've got all of these folks going way back 20, 30 some years and now talking about someone who molested them and they bringing these men. But here's the deal. Just like you got these teachers that are molesting these young boys, female teachers molesting these young boys, well, you have some women that were in power, and people try to act like women have never had power. Let us understand that the woman who is running BET is a woman, okay, black woman. The woman
Right.
who is running or who operates Radio One, who is also in partnership with Comcast, Kathy
Right.
Hughes, is a woman. We've had many powerful women, and I just named you a couple of black women. However, we've had white women because of their family connection that were placed in position of power. We've had some of the lower ranking folks who were in management positions who were in position of power. And so they could also pick and choose a man that they was going to make them their office husband. Okay,
What,
and so when
what I'm
those
trying to
so
get
when
to,
men start talking about what type of abuse that they went through, we're gonna find out really what type of world this truly is. Because, like I said, always said what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And so it ain't no one thing where it's just men was sexually imposed themselves on women. I'm telling you now, there were women that in many cases that was sexually imposing them, putting themselves in position of power over men. We have women right now who are in marriages or relationships, and they are women who want the control as we speak today. As some of the
so
men, as some of the husbands.
let's get this straight. We all are equal. What I'm trying to say, the waters are muddy when it comes to sex. But I think if we all get together and start talking about this sex stuff, maybe we can clear up this mess that's going on. And is a mess. You know, my point is,
Do I need to take a
I was
break?
molested. And I hear you. But I didn't tell my mother because I was only 7 years old.
Yes.
And I was molested by a man.
Yes.
And it's not easy. And when you're about that age, and you don't even know what's going on.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, I told my mother when I was about 40 years old or so.
Yes.
And all she could come up with was, well, these were my babysitters.
Yes.
A man and a woman.
Yes.
And he got me alone.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That's my point. You're afraid that your mother's not, or your father, your grandmother, whatever, is not going to believe you.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of women are scared that a lot of people wouldn't believe them because the person was in high power. That's on both sides.
That's right.
That's why we be together,
and we have
together
to,
and talk about this sex stuff.
and we have to remember
Biblically,
that
or whatever.
that is so.
It's not clear cut because it's all coming down in your DNA. I'm trying to tell you people this. You think it's man and woman, woman and man, man and man, whatever.
Wait, don't forget
It's
man.
out
Don't forget
there.
woman and woman.
That's right.
And the reason I say
Man
that,
and
Mary, the
man.
reason I say that is this. We have to understand that everything has been undercover for many, many years. And the last
Right on.
contract that I sold for advertising at Soulbeat Television, it was a contract in which it was for $8,500 to folks of other sexual persuasion.
That's right.
And when we did that programming, it was so surprising to see how many women and young folk, because they had a theater that was there, and the women that was tell the stories about them being married for all of those years, and yet they couldn't wait to go on the all-girl trips, the all-girl cruises, the all-women getaways, because at that point they could really truly be themselves, and they was having relationships with women. And then you had all of these young girls and middle-aged women that was coming to and they were being on television.
Right?
So this is why my awareness, and then I come to the motherland here in Detroit, and Mary, we were able to, or the people here, in which we supposed to be so all that, but the citizens of Detroit placed a man who had never had a political office, but had been a radio and television reporter per se, with a reputation as a person of liking boys,
Uh-huh.
and they voted him as the top person to receive more votes than any political person in that election. So he
You
not
got to be
only
kidding.
so he not only was elected to become the city council to the council, but he was elected the city council president. And
Well,
as
let
we
me put
speak
it
to
this way.
and wait, Mary,
When
and
you
as
go,
we speak to
I
wait,
can't
Mary,
stand pedophile.
as we speak
That's out.
today, as we speak today, that man is now in prison for the things that he did while he was on the city council. And that's why my questions to my family here in Detroit, the citizens. I don't care about we have the most black folks, period. I care
Mm.
about, are you really vetting the people, or are you just saying that, well, they're black, so I'm going to vote for that person or that person who says what they're saying? Are you really looking at what that is going to bring to this city? Are you really listening to what the people who are speaking as your leader, what they're really truly saying? Because somebody sold you Charles Pugh, and you bought it. Someone sold you the Pew Five, as they call the other persons that was elected to the city council. Somebody sold you that. Someone that you believed in that was black sold you those people, and you bought it. You were bamboozled. So as we move along today, are you being bamboozled? Are you upset?
That's a great story. And let me have one more bombshell on you people out there in Detroit and around the world. Right here in America, 19 million men are also getting beat up by their wives.
Oh, yes.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
These are also good men,
Yes.
but your wives are wrong. And just because you get away with that kind of stuff, it's wrong. You don't want to be hit.
Yes.
You get out there and holler in a minute about the man hitting the woman.
Mm-hmm.
But the men are also embarrassed by the idea that they're getting hit by their wives.
Well,
They're getting beat up.
And it's not that the men could not actually react and make it where they could actually overpower the woman.
Right.
It's that you as a man can love your woman so hard and so much
That's
that
right.
whatever she is doing to you, you feel that it's better for you to take it if you want to stay with her and keep her. And you're going
There
to
you
go
go.
with what she's doing from time to time. And you know, Mary, there's times when sometimes, like I said, women who are going through a menstrual cycle once a month will actually go into a mental rage during that time, and it's called, they have a name for it, and a man just has to ride it out. He just have to ride it out. So I'm not saying all women, because it's not. It's a very smaller percentage, but it still happens because, as like I said, with Jones Size Fitness Club for women,
Mm-hmm.
I had women who would go through that cycle, and so I'm not speaking of something that someone told me or someone read in a book, etc. I had clients that would actually go through that particular syndrome, and it's just
But
something.
Billy, but can I ask you a question?
Please
do. We really know what love is? Or do we just hear it every now and then, or see it in the movies, what we think is love?
Well, all you've got to do is listen to some Al Green. All you got to do is listen to some Al Green, and he'll tell you what love is. And he'll tell you.
Well, it's got to be deeper than that. I'm talking about the actual love that's really deep, really, really deep. Not the type that's, there's a thin line between love and hate.
Yes.
One minute you love somebody, the next minute you want to kill them.
Well, that means that what is your mental capacity? Are you a borderline mental psychopath?
Do you have to
see,
be a psychopath?
Yeah, see, we don't know.
Can love run out?
Because we don't know how your husband or how your wife or how your fiance or person that you are with or girlfriend or boyfriend or bestest friend, we don't know how they were raised, and we don't know what happened to them behind the doors as they were
That's
coming
right.
up, which gives them a mental trigger. So that's why when something really goes over the top, they say, well, they had this mental condition. And the mental condition I'm asking folks as we're speaking is, are you going to get out and vote for the person that you feel is going to be the best person for this community? Yes, some of us, many of us, are going to make mistakes, but darn it doesn't matter, because if you don't go out to vote, then that means that someone else who is going to make a mistake is making a double mistake because you didn't vote to offset their mistake.
There you go.
You feel what I'm
And they're
saying?
trying to stop you from voting without, what they used to do in Jim Crow days, which I figure is these days too.
Yes.
They point you toward a bottle of jelly beans
Yes.
and ask you, can you count how many jelly beans is in this bottle? So, folks, get out there and vote. And, there probably is a few psychopaths running. There's no doubt about it, but you have to get out there and think about your family. Think if this person can help you, and have some decent schools. Have those black communities again. Have those black community leaders again. And
Well,
Billy, I'm going to have to get off this phone.
but wait, Mary.
I have one more thing to say.
Wait, before you say that one more thing, let me make this statement.
Okay.
As a person that, like, say, this is election time and I'm a person going down the middle, but I do have a question to ask the family in Detroit. We have a man named Dan Gilbert. We have a man named Dan Gilbert that our former black mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, is the one that went one-on-one with him, that brought him from Auburn Hills to Detroit. He was the person that got Dan Gilbert to come and see the potential in Detroit. We talked about how dirty, nasty, and lack of things to do that was going on in Detroit downtown. We speak about the lack of black business owners and black businesses downtown and through the community, etc. So my question is this. If we have black men and women that are speaking about their skills, their talents, and many of them walk around, ride around like they got money, then how is it that the buildings that were empty in downtown Detroit, that they did not pursue them to buy them, renovate them, etc., to bring other folks downtown? Now, this man, like him or don't like him, he bought 85 buildings that was empty in Detroit. Now, the last point I want to make here is we talk and we go against different developments, etc., and the deal that Warren Evans was negotiating with Dan Gilbert and the guy who owns the Detroit Pistons about taking the land where they talk about where they got a jail site that was being developed, that we pay $1 million every month for a jail site that's sitting there rusting, getting nothing for it. And so they've gone through all the tossing and turnings with it. And now the rich white folks say, okay, y'all done talked about it, you done did this and that. Said, guess what? You don't have to, you need to talk to him. You need to talk to him. Okay. You need to let folks know that the white folks have said, okay, y'all done critiqued us, said we can't, you don't like the deal that we putting together, black folks, other folks. We're going to take our money, we're going to go with the other white folks. So now they're going to come to Ford Field. But I got to go. Reverend Dr. Massey's here. I want to love you. Thank you so much for being with me, Mary. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wait a minute.
I don't have a minute because I got a time schedule, but I will let you talk Monday night, okay?
Okay, I'll hear you there.
Okay, bye-bye. Family, this is still the Talk Beat Jones. Reverend Massey is ready to come up and handle his business right about now. They told me they loved you last week. Anyway, I'm Billy. 313-412-3111. The Talk Beat Jones. And This is the Talk Beat Jones, and see you then Saturday 1 2.
Good morning, TV audience. This is Dr. Massey with the Voice of Detroit on this wonderful TV station, WHPR, coming out of Highland Park, Detroit. We thank God for this day that He's given us. We're going to rejoice, and we're going to be glad in this day. Well, we want to pick back up where we were on last week. We was doing a report on the mayor of the city of Detroit, Mayor Duggan. I told you I was living at 9302 Sorrento from up to 2010. Then we took a brief stint out in Farmington Hill for about 3 years. But when we get back into this city of Detroit, the home where I grew my children up at, I get there about 4 years ago. They began to dig up, maybe about 3.5 years ago, began to dig up my water line. At the time, I owed the city of Detroit approximately $300, in between $200 and $300, and they dug up my pipeline. Now, I'd been living in that home with my kids since 1984. And here we are talking about 30 years later, they digging up the pipeline for a little meager $200-$300. And I let them go ahead and dig it up because at the time I wasn't staying there, wasn't nobody there, and it didn't make any difference when they took the water thing out anyway because at the time what happened when I went out to Farmington Hills, someone broke into the house and took all of the copper out and the faucets and things of that nature, so couldn't really use it no how. But I was still being charged for it, and I was so happy to look the other day. A bill came, and then they subtract the last 3 years from the water bill, which they really should have subtracted 4. And hopefully I can go down there tomorrow and get them to place that water line back in that house, because I've given that house now over to my ministry, the Detroit Citizenry Club. Now, another thing on the report card was, I recall, I sit there, I watch a lot of news, and I was watching Channel 7, and it made a statement about the Milliner Hotel. This is since our mayor had been in office, and it said $20 million was given to help renovate that hotel from the city of Detroit. Well, I was really appalled about that because, you know, the scripture said that when we give to the rich, we will come to poverty. And certainly it made us come into a very impoverished condition. Did you know that 40,000 houses could have been saved with just $20 million? The $20 million that was given away should have been given to the people who were struggling here in the city of Detroit to stay alive. Then another thing that happened, you know, President Obama had sent into Michigan, the state of Michigan, almost $600 million to help people who were struggling with their house payment. Now, all of the people out in the suburbs, they got what was coming to them, and but here in the city, it was a very hard struggle. We had to jump through a whole lot of hoops, and a lot of people still didn't get the money that they need in order to save their house. There was $600 million. You can look it up yourself. Sent from Washington to the state of Michigan to help those who were struggling with their note. Then after that, we saw that during this term, we lose our hope on Belle Isle, and there seemed not to have been any fight about, no, it belonged to the city of Detroit. And even though we know that the mayor is only is the one who signed off on the thing, he could have vetoed it, but he didn't try to veto it. They didn't want to stand in the way of the state doing what they had to do, because when he came in, the city was upon a state control. We're still in a police state because over on the park now, since it's being leased by the state of Michigan, all you have is state troopers over there on the park. And so these are the type of things that has transpired down through these years since this mayor has been in office. Now we know about when the money came in from Washington. President Obama, I remember looking at TV, and it says that all of the money that these other cities didn't take, President Obama said, I'm sending it to Detroit. And that's the way we was able to get those 50 new buses. And that's the way we was able to tear down a whole lot of houses. And, we was in a quandary at the time. Do we expand the city or do we downsize? Well, in one breath, there was downsizing. And the way we were downsizing is just don't help the people to pay the taxes, and they'll lose their house. And once they lose their house, then we it's an automatic downsize. Then the other part of the equation was, at the same time, let's figure out a way that we can bring into the city of Detroit more Anglo-Saxons. And this was the ploy which was done. Since our former mayor, Young, was in office, they set aside $5 million of the money that was coming from Washington to help the elderly. Help them to fix their roof, help them to bring the electricity up to code, help them to do some tuck pointing, help them with a furnace, whatever that they needed until the money ran out. They had a list, and you got on the list. You qualified to receive some of these grants, funds, and that's what you did. We want to thank Sister Shetfield for her effort in getting $2.5 million worth of grant money for the senior citizen to help them out. But we had $5 million that was earmarked automatically. Then what happened is that $5 million, our mayor, Duggan, he talked with Dan Gilbert downtown at this particular time, and they was thinking about how can we bring in more white Anglo-Saxons into the city of Detroit. And this was the ploy that they used. They took the $5 million that was already earmarked, and Dan decided, well, I'll match that. But when he matched it, the only way that you could get that and get the $25,000, they was offering $25,000 only for each house for you to come and get it, and no interest. But here was the catch. The catch was you have to have a 650 credit score. Now, how many people in the city of Detroit who are struggling have a 650 credit score? If they got charged cars, they're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul, and in the process of doing that, the credit score go down. Those of you who are listening out there, I tell you, if you got charge card, don't spend no more than 30% on the charge cards. When you do, then your credit score goes down. So who had a credit score of 650? Well, if the people in the city of Detroit didn't have it, there were new people who wanted to come into the city, who bought a house. In that October auction, some of the houses were sitting there. Did anybody want that area in which the house lived? So people were able to pick up those houses for $500. And that's what they did. During his time, him being in office, every house could have been saved. But instead, what we had a loss of houses. At one time, it was 20,000 houses. Then that was 10,000 houses. Then it began to go down. The reason why it began to go down is because the poorest of the poor was all ran out of the city simply because they could not pay the taxes for their house. And, you need to do something to help those people who are poor there. The Lord said he that give it to the poor, loan it to the Lord. And God is not going to be any man's debtor. He'll see that you get what you need. I know it's a true fact because since 1984, I've been helping a missionary over in the country of Haiti, one of the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And God has been there for me. He showed up for me and he's brought me through. Haven't come into any financial crisis since I started helping those people over there in Haiti. Made 8 trips over there. Now I'm down in the Dominican. Been down there for the last 7 years, and we got a family there that's down there that wanted to sustain me when I go down into the Dominican Republic. And the Lord has continued to bless me because why? Because we help the poor. And we have a lot of poor people in this city, a lot of jobless people, and we need to do something to help them. Listen, when we go out to vote, remember, Coleman Young Jr. is the man for this job. Let's give him a chance. What is it we got to lose? 30% unemployment? Well, my time is gone. I'll see you on next week if the Lord will, and the creek don't rise. Father, we love you, we bless you, we adore you, we appreciate you. Thank you for this great opportunity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. And this is the Talk Beat Jones. And see you then, Saturday, 1, 2.